Alright guys, so I just heard that an entry-level computer science engineer just got an offer from Apple for $191,000 per year salary. Now honestly, I don't even earn that much right now and I have a couple years of experience. Kind of think that choosing biomedical might have been the wrong decision here, but all jokes apart, I chose this field because it's my passion and I just truly love working in medical technology and healthcare. But if you guys are kind of in that whole space and that gray zone, like you don't know what to do with your life, and I know I won't take this into like that depressing side of things, but basically you're trying to figure out what career is the best one for me, what provides the most amount of financial stability. That is what we're going to talk about in today's video. So today we're going to go over some of the highest paying undergrad majors and how much salary can you actually expect from these majors right when you graduate. Let's get into it. Alright, so before we get into the list, I do want to point out that the salaries that I'm going to talk about can have a slight variation. For example, a computer science engineer may earn like $150,000 in California, whereas the same job, the same applicant might earn like $70,000 in like upstate New York, like Buffalo or Rochester. Now, this is because you need to take into account the cost of living, expenses, and it varies for bigger cities like New York City, California, Boston, and in other like lesser known remote areas, the cost of living is less. So just keep that in mind. Number one on our list is chemical engineering. Now, this was a pretty big surprise for me because I didn't expect this to be at number one, but it's also considered one of the hardest majors to get into. So chemical engineers basically work on like transformation and processes which involve a lot of product development, and the industries that chemical engineers are a part of include all the way from healthcare to pharmaceuticals to paper and pulp, even petroleum engineering. And when you kind of think about it, because the applications are so wide, a chemical engineer is suitable for jobs in all of these fields, which is why the whole major is so popular. It's so much in demand, and that is why chemical engineers earn up to $150,000. Now, this salary that I just mentioned is in Texas, and it was one of the highest that I did see. But on average, I think you can aim for anywhere between $70,000 to $90,000 per year, which is a good range to fall in as like a fresh graduate with no experience. Now, for your reference, some of the best institutions to study chemical engineering in the US include MIT, Caltech, UC Berkeley, Stanford, Georgia Tech, University of Minnesota, and the University of Texas. That brings us to the number two major on our list, which is computer science engineering. Now, this was definitely not a big surprise because of all the high-tech giants like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. But basically, computer science engineers are one of like the most in-demand jobs, software development, and I've seen starting salaries of upwards of $100,000 per year. In places like New York City or California, you can even expect this to be like more than $250,000 per year. Now, these are huge packages, but you need to remember something. Like, I was in California a couple weeks ago, and just starting rent of a one-bedroom apartment was $3,000 a month. And that was rent alone, not including other utilities, your phone bills, internet, food, or any of that like living expenses. So the cost of living is a lot too. So this brings us to a good point that since this kind of job market is so saturated, it's in demand, and there are just so many students doing computer science engineering, just going through a 4-year undergraduate degree isn't really enough to help yourself stand out from the competition. So this is where I'd recommend you guys kind of like go out of your way, learn some additional coding skills, work on some additional projects, and this is where I'd like to introduce you guys to Skillshare. Now, I personally am a biomedical engineer, and just like the technology side of things is just so empowering that you have to know a little bit of coding. So I myself use Skillshare to learn, coding where I need to, JavaScript and Python, but some really cool ones that I found that might be useful for you guys. Coding 101 Python for Beginners by Alvin Wan, and some of the topics that he covered in this class include data types, expressions, variable functions, and they've been super easy to understand. And I found another interesting class on SQL that I've started, and I found it super interesting. It would be a great start for someone who is interested in pursuing like data science or just interested in data modeling and statistics. Now, I highly suggest you guys watch this even if you're just in high school or getting started with these kind of coding languages, And Skillshare is like the best platform to do that, whether you're a beginner, moderate, or you're just looking to work on some projects and kind of like sharpen your coding skills. It's a great place to learn. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description can get 1 month of Skillshare Premium for free. Now back to computer science, some of the best colleges in the US that offer this degree include MIT, University of California, Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon University, University of Illinois, Georgia Tech, University of Michigan, and our very own Cornell University. Spot number 3 is taken by our electrical engineers. Now, anyone who's like studying electrical engineering, like you guys are the future of like this whole chip shortage. So down the line, make sure that we don't experience this again. All jokes apart, electrical engineers can earn somewhere between $65,000 to $75,000 as a starting salary. And this field is expected to have a projected growth of 7% in the next 10 years. So I feel like that's huge, and there are close to like 22,000 jobs that open up per year just for electrical engineers. So the demand is like really high, and it's a good field to get into because if technology is going to be booming, we're going to need electrical engineers to build all this stuff. And if you guys didn't know, my dad himself is an electrical and electronics engineer. I kind of spoke about it in the last Cali vlog that I put out on the channel, so definitely go watch that to get some pretty cool insight from someone who has a ton of experience. Now, when it comes to electrical engineering, the type of jobs that are available include telecommunications, electronics, manufacturing, automation, transport, defense, information technology, and consulting services. Like the list is just endless. These were just like some of the few that I found highlighted the top of the list. But as you can imagine, if there's anything that involves technology, a circuit board, just engineering, electrical engineers would have a kind of like a job in that field. Like I work in a healthcare company and we have an electrical engineering department in our company as well. And that's because literally to build anything, you would need electrical engineers. Number 4 on our list is industrial engineering. Now, it took me a while to kind of get a good understanding of this because a lot of the research that I did showed that the more work experience you have, the more you'll kind of like move forward in this field. And that's a good thing. But, with just maybe a couple of years of experience right out of school, you can expect to earn anywhere between $90,000 to $140,000. But your main goal and the job that you'll be doing in this field include like design, analysis, and kind of like industrial operations, just working around that whole area. So whether that's in like a manufacturing facility or for a healthcare facility, an automobile facility, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's an industry and they need somebody to design and control the operations for it, that's where your job comes in. Number 5 on the list is my favorite, biomedical engineering. Now this field has really like come up to the top, and it wasn't number 5 a couple years ago, but there's been a boom in the demand for biomedical and healthcare based engineers, which is why this field is just so popping right now. You can expect to earn anywhere between $60,000 to $70,000 as a starting salary, and this will increase if you're in places like California or New York City. Your main goal and your main work would be somewhere revolving with technology and healthcare. So this can be in like a clinical facility, which means you'll be working in a hospital, or it can be for a manufacturing device, or it can be for like research and development for like a medical device company or regulatory, but basically anywhere with like healthcare and technology. And depending on what specialization you feel you choose, you can also like go more into like research, and that involves academia and just doing like cancer research, stuff like that. But some of the top universities to study biomedical engineering include Cornell University, Georgia Tech, you have Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and basically all the big leagues. On a more personal note, these are the universities that I applied to, and I got accepted just into Cornell, none of the others. But basically, Cornell's biomedical engineering program is kind of structured in such a way that they give you a good exposure to the industry side of things. So I got to work with companies like Johnson & Johnson and pharmaceutical companies. A lot of the professors that I worked with in Cornell had their own startup labs and like human bio 3D printing, and I was just exposed to so much of innovation, microfluidics, like really cool stuff. So if you guys are interested in biomedical engineering, I have like a couple other videos that I talk about just that, so definitely check them out. Let me know in the comments below which your favorite degree was and which one you think has the best financial stability. If there's a field or a degree that I missed out and that deserves a spot in the top 5, drop those in the comments too. But that's all that I had for this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.